Hey, good afternoon. This is Eric Watkins with Tennessee River Adventures. Today we're going to be doing a little fish cleaning demonstration with an electric fillet knife. Also going to be talking about strategy on what worked today and what didn't. And finally, once we get all these fish cleaned, we're gonna put them in a nice warm bath, drop them down in some hot grease, and fry up some fish. So stay tuned. Talk a little bit about the fish that we caught here today. So we caught a mix of black crappie and white crappie. This here is actually a black crappie. You can tell it's a black crappie because there's no bands of vertical stripes or lines on it. Instead, it's just got a random speckle pattern to it. Caught a mix of both. This one is a male. A couple ways you could tell a male. You could look at the the anus down here and see that it's got one single hole instead of two like the female will have. But other than that, one way you can tell is by the color. So the males during spawning season, they take on a very black hue here in Alabama. So we call it the tuxedo. They end up looking a little more black and white than they do paler white or greenish color as they will in colder water or during times that aren't spawning. But anyway, that's a black crappie male. For comparison here, I have a white crappie. Here is a white crappie. You can see the difference here. This white crappie has a series of vertical bands here. It's got a little more of like a tiger stripe into it. You can see here this is actually a female. A couple ways I know that. Again, you can look at the anus area and tell, but other than that, the belly is a little poochy here. It's likely full of eggs, but the color in general also this time of the year, the females will maintain that whiter and green color compared to the males that have that darker black color. Let's see if I can hold both of them up here and let you kind of see the difference in colors. But again, white crappie, black crappie, but in general, again, the males just seem to have a lot more dark coloration to them than the females. So I think another male black crappie here you can see. Another male black crappie here. And here is a male white crappie. Again, you can see especially the underside how black it gets in this area. Again, white crappie by the vertical banding that you see on it. Difference male and female. Again, darker male. Female's got the lighter color. Females are typically bigger this time of the year, but you can't go on that. Sometimes you'll get a real fat male as well, but male white crappie, female white crappie. Quick little video of fish cleaning. Today I caught 24 crappie, and this is my fish cleaning station. This is actually the tailgate of my Toyota Tacoma. I've got a custom cutting board insert on this that I had made and ordered and installed. And for the knife of my choice, this is a Bubba Blade lithium ion. I love this thing, cord free. And for the trim work, I use an old, I don't know what this is actually, maybe an old Rapala or something, but it's a fillet knife I've had since I was a kid. It's at least 20 years old. But anyway, so pull a crappie out of here. What we do is we make an insert above the gill line here, all the way down to the backbone. Turn the knife, following the backbone. Follow the backbone along the dorsal fin and the anal fin. Work your knife back and forth. So you get to the edge of the tail, then you flip it over. Make a little cut at the edge of the tail till you get down the skin. Once you hit skin, follow the skin. Got a fillet like that. Flip this thing over, repeat. Cut right in front of the gill line. Turn the knife, find the backbone. Follow the backbone along the dorsal fin and anal fin down the base of the tail. Flip it over. Small incision down the skin at the base of the tail. Once you find skin, follow it over. And that is the fillet. People think that you waste meat like this. You don't. Look at that skin. That skin is absolutely paper thin. And look at the spine here. There is no meat on this thing anywhere. This is as clean as you could possibly get without frying it whole. For the fillet here, what I do is I just trim the rib meat out. I start right here and make an incision just around the ribs, and then make a little fillet here under the belly meat. Rib cage, throw that away, and this is the clean fillet you have when it's done. Beautiful. Repeat right here on this one. Incision around the top of the rib cage along the lateral line. Fillet under the rib cage here. There's your rib piece, that's junk. And here's a beautiful fillet. Put it in the rinse bucket. And that's it. Again, a little 7-inch hand fillet knife, Bubba blade, lithium ion cordless, and a cold one. Cheers. All right, I got all these fillets off the skin, and I'm going through cleaning up rib meat here now, and just doing a little bit of trim work on anything I might have missed. And anyway, while I'm doing that, I'll take a second to talk about kind of how today went in strategy. Again, I caught 24 today. Wind was terrible. Man, wind was blowing 17 miles per hour sustained with gusts up to 28, and it made it really limited on where you could fish. You had to fish, wind was out of the southwest, so you had to fish the southern bank basically to stay protected out of the wind. And today really what I did is I fished minnows under a bobber for the most part, and I moved up into the spawning zone. Last couple weeks I've been catching these fish scattered up in the spawning zone, but I've been catching most of them in the pre-spawn range, which is typically it's just outside of the spawning zone. So they're going to come up to spawn on these shallow flats, up in the bushes, up in the stump rows, log jams, treetops, anything that's got structure up in the shallows. When they spawn, they're going to come anywhere inside of 4 feet, commonly up around 2 feet, even 1 foot deep to spawn. But in the pre-spawn, you'll find them kind of hanging out over any kind of structure just outside of these areas where they're actually going to go spawn. Been catching a couple scattered there, but today I moved up into the spawn zone and had a pretty good day. Again, with the wind blowing like it did, I struggled pretty bad with a hook set. It's kind of hard to fish a bobber in 17 mile per hour winds, but you can do it. But had a lot of missed opportunities today, missed hook sets, just because when I got ready to set the hook, my line wasn't where I wanted it to be due to the wind, or I set the hook and tried to set the hook and didn't get a good hook turn. But it is what it is. Again, 24 wasn't a bad day. I think I threw 5 back, a total of 29 caught today. But as far as what works, yeah, it was really minnows under a bobber today, up in those treetops and log jams and stumps and the true spawning zone. One thing I like to pay attention to is males versus females. So with these crappie, or a lot like bluegill, another panfish, the males will actually move up first, and the males move up and look for bedding areas and actually start making the beds, and then the females will pick a male and pick a bed area. So in the early spawn, what you typically see is a much higher concentration of females to males. Excuse me, I said that backwards. You find a much higher concentration of males to females. It's been the case the last couple of weeks. It's been about 3 to 1. Today up in the spawning zone, though, is where I concentrated, and out of 24 fish that I've cleaned, there were 3 females. That's it. So that's one female to every 8 males. It's a really high concentration of males. It means I think that we're still really early spawn. But I caught a lot more in the spawn zone today than I have the past couple weeks. So I definitely think we're just starting. We're just getting into that zone. Shiners worked well. I did go back to pre-spawn zones off the little deeper suspended brush or deeper submerged brush, excuse me, and fished a little bit. And there I did some vertical jigging. Had a lot of luck with that last couple weeks. Today, not so much. Today was more in the spawn zone. Everyone's got the colors they like. When I was vertical jigging today, I started out with a white and chartreuse, which is just typically one of my, you can count on them, go-tos. And man, today they wouldn't touch a white and chartreuse. What I got them on today was orange and black, which orange and black's another color that I keep. As far as jigs, I get my jigs from Southern Pro. They sell them, I think, 25 pack, 50 packs, 100 packs, and I like just a tube skirt, like an 1.5 inch long tube skirt, and I use typically a jig head that goes in the body of the jig, and keep it pretty light. I only use like a 1/16 ounce jig head typically. If I need a little more weight, I usually don't move up in head weight. I add a small split shot just above it. But yeah, overall pretty good day. Finished cleaning these rib cages out of these and do a little trim work, and we're gonna fry some fish here shortly. All right, this batch here is done. We're about to make some fried squash. This here is looking pretty good. Pull it up like that. We're holding 475 and steady. That right there looks good, guys. I think that's done. Sweet. All right, here it is, all fried up and flaky white. Ready to chow down.